And a very warm welcome, I'm Sherwood McCaskey. This is the autobiographical journey of Dame Billie Miller, her life in focus. This week, Dame Billie begins by speaking of the good work of Grassroots and the fundamental role he played in her political campaign.
I told him, no, I want you to come and meet me in my office, my campaign office. And I want to go through every district with you and see how many people I know or know of, because I need to move quickly. You know, it's not like although with a by-election, it is easier in that you have all of the time to yourself. You don't have to go and speak on somebody else's platform somewhere else. And he knew it backwards, the whole city, divided into two. So I had to be careful by the river. I had to be careful with my campaign house. And later on in life, I then had two places, one uptown and one downtown. And he said, all right. And I had everything written out, put my team together, and so on and so forth.
As expected, the May 1976 by-election in the city had the full attention of the media.
Ms. Miller, we had one previous by-election in February this year, which was won by the BLP, and some observers thought it was a swing towards your party in general. In your campaigning, how true have you found this to be?
There are very clear signs in the city that the trend may well be a general trend. I certainly believe so.
Now, the new candidate, the DLP candidate, Mr. Carmichael, he has had some experience in the elections before. This will be your first attempt. How do you feel about it?
I feel very good about it. At the beginning of the campaign, I thought, as I've said before, that I had an even chance. My platform has been a clean one, a highly organized one, and I feel that my chances have been improving all the way through. I did a very thorough house-to-house campaign before the platform campaign started. I regret that after the Democratic Labour Party took the platform last night, that there are serious nuances, and even stronger than nuances. I'm not happy that the campaign has taken a nasty turn. I'm not happy about it. Remembrances of St. Philip North, where a cabinet minister stood up in St. Philip North and said that people were village idiots. They've now come into the city, and that same cabinet minister is saying that city people are monkeys. He laughed at the idea of a city college. He may not think that a city college is the thing for the city, but I am highly indignant and sore city people that he should refer to them as monkeys.
Your city college, what form will this take?
I would very much like to see a city college which would not only be a day school to provide secondary education predominantly for city children, but which would operate at the same time as a night or even an institute. There's a very dire need in this city. There are lots of them all over the city struggling to cope to meet with the demand.
What other changes would you like to see in the city?
Oh, I would like to see the whole face of the city change, the whole environment of the city. That is the main issue of this by-election, you know, the city environment. City people fight against it every day. The poor housing, bad roads, non-existent drainage, all of these things.
Now, we've heard charges of neglect of the city. In what areas do you especially refer to when you refer to neglect of the city?
The city has been neglected, in my opinion, in every respect, but principally, as I said just now, environmentally. They've neglected the roads. In some parts of the city, there are no roads at all. They've neglected city housing. It's non-existent. There are no government houses in the city. They have neglected the ordinary amenities like social centers. There's none in the city. There was Youth Town, but they've let that die. In fact, Youthtown is now such a derelict that they've had to abandon it even for use as a polling station. There are no playground, no recreational facilities in the city, specially designed or geared to the needs of city youth. So that in every aspect, it would appear to me that the city people have been neglected.
Now, there are going to be 5 candidates in the by-election. In other words, the opposition will be broken up as such. How do you expect this with the other 3 opposing parties? How do you expect this to affect your chances of getting into the House?
The other opposition parties are all anti-government platforms. I think that city people have always been very careful in selecting their representative. They've always had a very clear idea about the sort of person or the sort of party they did not want to represent them. What can truthfully be said about the smaller opposition groups is that they have no machinery behind them. They have no platform. They have no party behind them.
Well, the people of the city also voiced their opinions. Those opinions were recorded by the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation and for these many years carefully preserved in the Archives and Information Department. Here are those opinions.
Really, they want to make a change, So I believe she should get the seat.
Well, I really would like the Labour Party to get back in power. This going down, because it looks as if we would have a very serious attack. So we got to get up and do something or the other to save this country. As I like my church, and this man said he don't see the uses of a church. Fair enough?
Okay. The only thing I have to say, I think about Billie Miller. It's time for me to have a change.
Why would you like Miss Miller?
It is simply that. It is simply that, nothing more.
The city need putting out Mr. Barra and his government because they haven't done that for 15 years they was in power for the city. They may have done something for St. John or anywhere, but they haven't done that for 15 years they're in power in the city. That's why we do not want them to have a city seat.
Well, I really don't recommend what would like, but I feel that Carmichael should have the vote.
Well, for the by-election, I feel the Barbados Labour Party should have a role in this going down. And for my opinion, I believe Billie Miller should get in. She's a woman, I think she will represent the city by now. We have enough men in the city, so we should choose a woman in this going down.
What do you think the city needs?
Well, I think, as far as I'm concerned, I think evacuation to a better spot or a better place I think it's the ideal thing for, as far as down here in Chapman is concerned. The health hazards down here, health down here is very bad. If you look around the main roads, you will see the toilets and the kitchens wrapped together. That is not good in this modern day for health.
What sort of representative do you think the city should have?
We should have a proper representative, a very good person who will look into our needs. We have never had any before.
Do you have any particular candidate in mind?
Oh, sure. DLP Carmichael.
Well, we need proper representation, and the only way we can have proper representation is if we give Mr. Lyle Carmichael a seat.
Yeah. I would like to see a good representative, somebody with ability that will stand up for the people.
What sort of person do you think would do that?
The honest body I feel could do is Billie Miller.
I feel, in my humble opinion, that Mr. Lyle Carmichael should be the representative of the city for the many years that he has service in all capacities. And I feel sincerely that he should win this by-election.
For a long time, they were suffering this country if the cost of living in Barbados. And I think the best thing for them to do is to cut down the cost of living and give Billie Miller the vote.
What sort of representative would you like for the city?
Well, On behalf of me, I would like, personally speaking, I love the Barbados Labour Party, and I feel that with Mistress Miller running the seat in the House of Assembly right now, the present seat in the city, she will do a lot more good for the people, my people and me. And because for the last 15 years, the Democratic Labour Party was only promising the people of Bridgetown, mostly. They done all the good in St. John, the build stores, the St. John in St. John, and do all kind of things. They promised to repair Chapman Lane for the last 15 years, and all right now we haven't got no representation in Chapman Lane as far as the present government is concerned. And I would like to see the Barbados Labour Party in power. I would like to see Miss Billie Miller in the seat in this Bridgetown to represent me and my people.
I would like a representative to represent the people of the city. And mostly to find out their needs and to act upon it. What they haven't done in the past, to do now in the future.
What would you like to see for the city in the future?
Well, better living facilities, places where the children can get attended properly and not have to step in a long line waiting too long. And better employment for the people, because a lot of people in the city don't have employment.
Is there any particular candidate you would like to see win?
Well, the candidate I would like is one that was out before, working with the people and trying to get through to the people and seeing that the government do as they should for the past 3 years.
I would like a representative that I could get a piece of work from. I got 5 certificates and I cannot get a job, but that's what got me here alive, man. I try to write application forms to government business places and various private firms. And on the whole, you have to wait till the more I can't disclose. Like, my mind is made up, so it's in that way yet so far. But I want a little work. So whoever I feel will give me a job, or who I could talk to about getting a job, I will get that body my vote.
The BLP.
What sort of representation do you think they could give you?
A lot. Clean the city, refresh out here, and that's what we want. We never had it.
Meanwhile, Dame Billie Miller continues with the events of the May 1976 by-election.
There were other people running in the by-election. I think there were like 5 of us in all. And one was Al Jokes. That is when we became friends. I wasn't into enemies and don't speak to the other fella. You know how many times in Barbados in campaigns, either by elections or a general election, Peter Morgan walked up on our platform we had somewhere up in St. George, lost. And nobody tried to boo him or anything. Sat down on the thing, talked a little bit, and went back on the road. Then there was another fellow too, he was a priest, Gordon Matthews. Well, he came and wanted to go to the platform to speak, and somebody pointed out to him, "You big idiot, you're not on the BLP platform." I mean, all kinds of things you live with in a campaign. And you have to be ready. But, I have everything written down and so on, everything sorted out. And the word went out. And at the end of every week, I would give a little money. I didn't have a lot of money, but I would give a little money, for people to be able to do shopping that they would normally be doing on a Saturday when I got them on the road, campaigning. And because I would go in the market, and you have to go where people are, and so on. And the campaign, I thought, went quite well. The first opening meeting to present me to the crowd was the largest meeting I think I ever saw in my 32 years in active politics. We had earmarked, and every day now we're up at the party headquarters. There was a very nice lady across the street. She cooked well. And so we used to go over there and eat, and then you'd come back and go upstairs, and we're working out how we're going to do this and how we're going to do that. And we were planning now the spot meetings and then the bigger meetings, but the most important thing we had to start with was the opening meeting. It was going to be down in what used to be the Lower Green. We still call it that. And it was just across from St. Mary's Church. So we're upstairs, and somebody walks into the room upstairs and says, the meeting is going to be the next day. Miss Bella, the thief in your meeting spot. I said, my meeting spot? How you mean stealing it? Well, I got men down there, they set up a platform. Well, let me tell you, we had things called mini mokes in those days. And the campaign had like 3 or 4 that anybody could get in. I don't remember running down the stairs or getting into it, but I remember when I got down to the Lower Green. Beautiful big tree there. And there are these 2 men putting up a platform. So I got out and I went and I said, excuse me, this is the Barbados Labour Party's platform location for the meeting tomorrow night. What are you doing here? There was a gentleman who rejoiced in the name, his surname was Miller as well, but with the AR, the rich ones, you know. He was the AR. And they just ignored me, so I weren't there. By that time, Tom had jumped into another mini moke, and he was just behind me, and he said, he just came, held me by the shoulder, he said, it's all right, just calm down, just calm down. Let's go back up to Robert Street and work it out. I was so careful, and I was, because I did not trust the other side not to try to undermine me in some way. And that, when you had to go to the police station Central Police Station, to take in a copy of, where you're going to have all your meetings and what time and so on and so forth. And I had done that. I asked Tom to come with me, and he did. So here am I now, my opening spot to be being stolen before my eyes, and what am I to do? Well, we went back up, as Tom said, and somebody suggested, I cannot remember who it was, this open car park, Carlisle Bay. Yes. And somebody suggested that. And I remember Bernard St. John saying, man, that will work, that will work. My friend, he had a best friend who was a dentist. Oh dear. I'm trying to remember his name. His wife was a great painter. Oh dear. His son is big surfing guy. Kalma. He had his dental office next door, right next to this new car park that had been built. And so he said, don't worry, Trevor will give you water, light, whatever you want, man. So arrangements were made, and I had to put up notices at the last minute on the radio and so on, too late for the newspaper. Anyhow, they wouldn't have been far if they were coming. So I went home now to change, and I knew what I wanted to say and so on and so forth. And I'm coming up Barbary Hill now to drive right as far as I could get, trying to think that I could even get into my father's factory yard or something. Man, when I got to the forecross there, the Passage Road, I just saw wall-to-wall people. So I parked, there was a school there, and I parked my car in the driveway there. And because there was no way I could have driven it. I mean, there was, you know, the whole road, everything, people. And I'm hustling now and hustling now. And I got my phone in hand and so on. And hardly anybody recognized me. When I got up to the front and I saw the crowd, Lord have mercy. I called one of my workers. I said, oh, I am going to give you a very special mission. Speak to no one. Nobody is to know where you're going or what you are doing. Go down to the Lower Green and tell me what the crowd looks like down there. Is it big? Is it small? Is it medium size? Are a lot of cars parked down there? And so on and so forth. Well, he was so giddy with excitement that this was a special task he was being given. He went down there and he came back up. He said, Miss Miller, but ain't got anything going on down there. I said, no, they're having a meeting down there. I saw them putting up the platform. He said, yes, but they got the platform, but they got the people down there. And straight away I knew what I was going to say when I started. You know, somebody speaks first and then you don't put on the candidate right away. So I'm there, walked around the crowd a little bit and so on. All the road was blocked. There was no thing as there is no boardwalk. So people were standing up in the street. And I'd never seen so many people my whole life. So when it's my time now to get up on the platform, nice chair went up and so it's nice to be welcomed. And I said good night to everybody. And I apologized to them that there had been some little confusion that we had already booked with the police at the police station, but the other people came and they took it over. So that tonight, ladies and gentlemen, they have the meeting site that I would have wanted, but I have the crowd. I heard only got about 58 people down there. Crowd started to get on real bad. I mean, really, they shouted and they carried on. Some people then tried to run down there and so on. Anyhow, the meeting calmed down and so on. And I made my my maiden speech. And as the campaign went on, you know, I remember when I did up Nelson Street, there was a lady there. She was the fish fryer. She was the #1 fish fryer. You couldn't beat her. And there was a particular place where she used to hang out. And I asked her if she would mind if I set up my campaign there. She said, you could even set up inside my house. So that was very good. It was at the southern end of Nelson Street. So you could see the crowd. Again, I never seen a crowd that size. And then I moved around to all the various places and so on. You know, you had to do, for the first time in my life now, I'm doing house to house on my own account. I had done it in the past with other candidates. And I remember going uptown and canvassing, and I had everything marked out, you know, exactly what you were going to do, the hours between, because every minute had to count. And one morning, I'm fast asleep, it's about 6 o'clock, and Chessel Rock, she is indeed a rock of the Labour Party. She is still there today. Anything going down, Chessel is going to be in it. And she had family connections who were from among the islands, you know, speaking patois and so on. Anyhow, she telephoned me to tell me, and I had just finished canvassing the day before that part of uptown, King William Street, and then you go to Queen Street, and so on and so on. And she said, Daisy's house burnt down. Her husband died in the fire. I said, Chessa, where are you? She said, we in Queen Street. I said, all right, just let me, you know, bed and trespassing at the road. So I'm driving very slowly now because I'm not sure which house. I came up King William Street now and turned into Nelson Street, and I'm looking slowly up Queen Street now. And I could see, this is like early morning, 7:30. I could see a group of women. And instinctively I said, that is the house that Jessel called me from. So I parked my car and I got out and I went up to the house. And there are these ladies. And I said, good morning. Do you know if Daisy is here? Oh, yes, inside. So I go up to the door, and there is Chessel now. Daisy is on a couch, and Chessel is fanning her. You know how her husband just died and so on. And when I got into the drawing room where they all were, Chessel said, oh, thank the Lord you've arrived. This Daisy now, who had tie up and thing enough alcalada, patting on, jumped up off the couch. She said, you're Miss Miller? I said, yes, Daisy, I'm so sorry about what happened. She had taken me on at all. She said, we are going to vote for you. Every morning we are going to Mass. We are praying for you every morning. I said, thank you so much. I said, please, could I give you a little hug? She didn't want to hear nothing about that. And then I told myself, I got up here in lockdown. Because most of the other 4 people who were running the same time in this by-election with me, they were spending the bulk of their time downtown. Not every and anybody could go in Nelson Street. You know, that used to be a very rough place. And if they don't let you look at you, you know, you'll get chased out or beat out. I was very respectful when I went up there. And so we fixed up Daisy and so on. And I got to have an understanding of how city people were. A stronghold for the Labour Party was Chapman Lane, and part only of the New Orleans. From, I would say, the 5th Avenue out to the 11th. Some people don't know there's an 11th, but I discovered that. And from like 1 to 4 was the other party's stronghold. And so I started my campaign down there. A message came to me quite early in that morning, it must be about 8 o'clock or so. I got a phone call. Miss Miller, did the LP got a man out there named Tunky? I said, yes, I know Tunky. Short fella, and he wears khaki pants and khaki shirt. Yes, that's the one. But he walking up and down the New Orleans with a piece of rope in his hand, and he got a black and white goat on it. And he telling the people, look out, look and see what a senator vote for, look, a Billy goat. I said, thank you. Do not repeat this to anybody till tonight. I called my chief canvassers and I told them, don't say a word. I don't want anybody making reference to that except me. Okay, so the meeting starts and it jammed all of Baxter's Road because it was a tight place to hold a meeting. But the Dems knew that that was a stronghold for them, and I knew that they would win that box. That didn't worry me. But the size of the crowd gave me great joy. I got my platform. I remember my first boyfriend, he was. And he was a tall fella, and he was in the crowd, and he kept shouting at me, Billy, don't curse, don't curse. I said, I'm not going to curse. And I got my voice now modulated down. I said, ladies and gentlemen, I suppose you have heard this story. And for those who haven't heard, I will tell you this story. And I told them the story. And then at the end of telling them the story, I told them, people have begged me, don't curse out here tonight. I said, I am not going to curse out here tonight. But what I will tell you that's going to happen tonight is that the Billy is going to butt. But let me tell you, the shout that went up was heard down in Barbary Hill. Then a whole bunch of people from down here started coming up till the whole of Baxter's Road was, just humans. Then there was this man from somewhere up in Christchurch. He lived beyond, I was told, Oyston. And he started coming to every meeting, and he would be there with his stick, an old man. But, Billy, but. Oh, geez, on. As you hear that, no, the crowd gone wild. You have to calm them down. They ain't can talk.
It's one of the many fascinating stories in the political history of Barbados. But, Billy, but. Now, after Dame Billy had calmed the people, you might ask, what came next? Well, the answer to that is coming up next week at the same time. Thank you very much, Dame Billy. I'm Sherwood McCaskey. This has been Dame Billie Miller, her life in focus.